from all over the country are trying to fight a 17,000-acre wildfire. Everything that the crews do to fight this fire, they do on purpose, like this line right here. They've set it on purpose that way if the winds change, if the fire changes direction, it won't have any fuel to spread any further. These guys are trained professionals. They even say they get nervous too. Ready, guys? What took me 5 minutes to get down, these guys sometimes have to do in as little as 30 seconds. I can't imagine doing any of that in like a high pressure situation where you're just, trying to hurry up and do things and save lives. I mean, that's pretty intense. This chain-linked fence does nothing to keep crime out of the complex. As soon as next week, they plan on installing an $80,000 card access gate. This is the surveillance camera that caught all that footage that you saw just a few moments ago. But what we're about to show you is what it looks like inside there after the explosion. Anyway, the bear was in this area. It was very close to Lake Park Elementary, had them on lockdown, had kids just telling me they saw the bear before it made its way through yards and into this backyard right here.
As a foreclosure defense attorney, this is sweet justice.
Only on Wink tonight, the tables are turned. Instead of Bank of America foreclosing on a home, a homeowner has deputies foreclose on the bank.
Bank of America filed foreclosure papers on a homeowner who didn't owe a dime. They paid for their house with cash.
Renee Stoll live at the Bank of America branch on Davis Boulevard in Naples with this story you'll see only on Wink tonight.
This is about a family who fought back and won. Their foreclosure nightmare started when they bought a house in the Golden Gate Estates owned by Bank of America. Like you said, they paid cash, so they never had a mortgage. Well, Bank of America fouled it up somewhere along the lines and actually tried to foreclose on the family. And what happened today, you're just going to have to see to believe. Movers, a truck, and an armed deputy, all while a nervous homeowner stands by and waits. This is normally what you'd see when a person's being foreclosed on and their property seized by a bank. But today, it's the other way around.
They've ignored our calls, ignored our letters. Legally, this is the next step to get my clients compensated.
A Collier County judge said Bank of America had to pay Maureen Nairges and her husband's legal fees after the bank tried to foreclose on their Golden Gate Estates property, but they paid cash. The courts agreed they never had a mortgage to begin with. After more than 5 months, the bank still hadn't paid up. So the homeowner's attorney did just what the bank would do to get their money: seize their assets.
I instructed the deputy to go in and take desks, computers, copiers, filing cabinets, including cash in the drawers.
Outside the bank, several deputies stood by with movers ready to start hauling out the bank's office supplies and furniture. Inside, the homeowner's attorney was locked out of the bank manager's office by deputies, while the bank manager tried to figure out what to do.
He was visibly shaken. Having two sheriff's deputies sitting across your desk and a lawyer standing up behind them, demanding whatever assets are in the bank, it can be intimidating. But so is having your home foreclosed on when it wasn't right.
After about an hour, the bank finally cut a check.
As a foreclosure defense attorney, this is sweet justice, because this is a symptom of a larger problem.
Now, the homeowner's attorney says that he sees mistakes all the time in foreclosure court where banks do not do their due diligence, and it winds up becoming a very lengthy process for the homeowners. He says he can only think of one other time where an attorney, the deputies, and a U-Haul came to a bank before ready to seize property. That was in Tampa. As far as Bank of America, they issued a statement saying that they apologized for the wait on the payment. They issued a notice to pay from the attorney that was working on the case on their side, but they didn't know the attorney went out of business. We'll be reporting live here in Naples. Renee Stoll, Wink News now.
Renee Stoll is live at the scene with the latest details this afternoon. Renee?
Yes, and Jen, it's still quite an active scene out here with part of Fifth Avenue closed off after Mangroves Cafe had a huge explosion, leaving 3 people in the hospital. Let's take a look at some of the video to show you exactly what's going on here. Now, the fire chief for Naples Fire Department says that the roof is completely unattached for the building, and it's most likely going to be a total loss. He explains it like this. He says that a delivery driver from the beer company was here. He left his car running at the back of the restaurant. At the same time, a gentleman from Ball Gas was filling up a 500-gallon propane tank, and somehow there was a leak. Low humidity caused those fumes to go underneath the car that was running and hit the engine. That's when the explosion occurred. There was also fumes that were inside the restaurant, caused a massive flash explosion. And obviously, as you can tell, everything is just completely demolished in Mangroves Cafe. In Mangroves Cafe, a lot of people know that restaurant because it's right here on the corner of 5th Avenue and 41. A lot of people go here as well. Now, the fire chief also says that if it was later in the day, then it could have been a massive loss of life. Let's take a listen to one of the witnesses, what he has to say.
We were just working and I heard the explosion.
I was told by the fire chief there are 3 injuries from the people who were inside the restaurant. Now, 2 of them are serious to critical injuries, and most likely one for sure went to Tampa's burn unit, and then the second one is most likely on his way there as well. We will continue to stay out here and get you more details as they become available. Reporting live in Naples, Renee Stoll, Wink News Now.
It happened just after 9 this morning at Mangroves Cafe on 5th Avenue South. Renee Stoll live in Naples now with the latest.
Yes, 5th Avenue just opening back up in the last hour, but crews behind me still trying to clean up the mess at Mangroves Cafe after what the Naples fire chief calls the perfect storm of events, creating a massive explosion that I myself heard just a block away at our offices this morning.
I heard what I thought was a huge explosion or maybe an earthquake because the whole building shook.
We were just working and I heard the explosion and looked around and we seen the front of the building just explode out in the face of it. And at that point I dropped my tool pouches and we heard screaming.
A gentleman came out of the restaurant screaming. He had his arms up, his shirt was off, and he was yelling, "Call 911, call 911, I've been burned."
An unbelievable morning for people working on 5th Avenue South, and what Naples Fire Chief Stephen McInerney says started with this car owned by a man working on the beer taps at Mangroves Cafe.
The car is running, propane comes to make the delivery to the 500-gallon underground tank. We have very, very low humidity, kind of have a perfect storm.
He says vapors from a leak somewhere in the propane lines was picked up by wind and pushed the gas right inside the restaurant's open back door. All of this happening 2 feet from the running car.
Makes contact with that engine and ignites. There's a flash fire throughout the entire back of the building. This is really a bomb that went off.
The explosion so strong it blew the roof completely off the building and left 3 men with severe burns.
Somebody had picked up his shirt. It was just strings. You could tell that that was burned off.
It looked like he was in a lot of pain. His head was actually still smoky from his hair being singed.
Now, that man that was working with the gas company, he is in Tampa General. He's listed in critical condition. We also have the gentleman who's working on the beer taps. He's there as well. He's listed in fair condition. And one more, a chef from Mangroves. He's here at NCH downtown in good condition. Now, the fire chief tells us that this building is going to be considered most likely a total loss and will eventually have to come down. Reporting live in Naples, Renee Stoll, Wink News Now.
Renee Stoll is live with the details.
Yeah, guys, this is the Crystal here. It's right off of Everglades Boulevard, and it actually runs parallel to Alligator Alley. It's also where the sheriff's office found at least 8 cars in here. But let me remind you what they're dealing with to get them out. This is also the same canal where a man lost his hand to an alligator just a few months ago. Helicopters, dive teams, and tow trucks. The Collier Sheriff's Office is tapping into multiple resources to recover cars from the Crystal.
With all the bodies of water here, as far as insurance fraud, canals and lakes are the popular way to discard your vehicle.
Because this canal is so secluded, crooks have used it for their dumping spot. Low water levels have made it easy for the sheriff's office to spot the cars from the sky. Now they just have to go in and get them.
Our dive team, you got to give them a lot of credit. They go out in these waters that are often murky, very limited visibility, alligator infested waters.
Did you guys see any gators yet?
The other one we did.
We do have their lieutenant on standby on the shore with a shotgun in case any gators decide to get close to the divers.
Then the cars are hooked. Once these cars are pulled up out of the canal, they have to look for the VIN to get some history and find out who it belonged to. The VIN on this car is either right here or it's going to be on the dash. But some crooks are a little more experienced, and there's no VIN at all.
There's confidential VINs that the automobile dealer puts on there, and it's not privilege to the public.
A little more work, but worth it for everyone.
We're all paying for it.
Now, when he says that we're all paying for it, he really does mean that. In Florida, it's estimated that every household pays about $313 extra in their premiums every year because of cars that are stolen or ones that are dropped off in canals like this for insurance money. Reporting live in Collier County, Renee Stoll, Wink News Now.